All right, you guys, this is all the ingredients you're gonna need. This might not be like super traditional or the way that your family makes it, but this is how I make pozole. I don't know if I mentioned that. So I have my limes, my radishes, cilantro, jalapenos, more cilantro for garnish, and for the salsa I'm gonna be making, they didn't have any habaneros, so we're just gonna use tomato sauce to make a red salsa, but I feel like habanero salsa would be good, anyways, because you could either turn it into a taco or whatever, but I'm going to make taquitos, like potato-filled taquitos with cheese. And then you're going to need some pork shoulder. I got some from Winco, a bunch of chilies. I already had some at home, and then I got some more. You're going to need some purple onion, sweet white onion, some garlic, tortillas. I also got an avocado just, to make it look pretty and shit. That shit was $1.98 for one singular avocado. It's nuts. Some potatoes, some cheese. These are some leftover cheese that I have from making the chicken parm. So the taquitos are going to have different types of cheese in it. Anyways, and you guys know I have to bust out my big ass pot. My 18-quart pot. I forgot to mention you're also going to need some beans and some rice. I already made the rice, like I have some leftovers, but my boyfriend likes beans and rice, so we're also going to make the beans. About like 8.7 something pounds, but anyways, I already finished cutting it up, and I just cut it into like big chunks, and I also kept majority of the fat just because my boyfriend loves eating like the fatty pieces, but I cut them into like smaller pieces or with the actual meat, so it doesn't get I don't know how to explain it in English, but in Vietnamese it means ngang, like kind of tired of, like I don't know how to explain it. But anyways, now I'm gonna wash this with salt and lime water just so it's less gross. Alright, I already threw the salt in there, but we're just gonna wash this until the water runs clear. I don't know if you guys can see like all the impurities that's coming out right now. I also didn't know how to like properly cut the meat around this piece of bone because it's like so uneven. So I'm just gonna throw it in there until like all the meat like falls off, But anyways, use your air. I'm just gonna clean this really well. Alright, I'm going to use my extra large cutting board. The reason why I don't like to cut meat on wooden cutting boards is because I don't want to get salmonella. And when I worked at all the restaurants that I did, we always use plastic cutting boards. So it's either you get salmonella or you get microplastics in your food. Either way, you die. So anyways, these are the peppers that I'm going to use. I'm using this cutting board just because I know that I'm going to cut a lot of garnishes and like vegetables, so that's why. I'm going to de-seed these and then throw them in the water with the meat. I also already salted my water with the meat in it. I'm also going to add some chili arbol to it as well. I don't know. I kind of don't want to de-seed these because a lot of the times it will just like disintegrate and fall apart. I don't know. Don't forget to skim off all the impurities. I thought I had more white sweet onions, but I don't. Anyways, this is what I'm going to use for the pozole, but I'm going to put this in a separate pot of water, and then when I'm ready to blend it, I'll use the broth from the soup, if that makes sense. But anyways, I'm using 1 1/3, and then the other 2/3, I'm going to use 1/3 for the rice, and then the other third for salsa. And then this patch over here, this little pile, I'm also going to use that for a salsa matcha, I think that's how you say it, in a separate video. Don't ask me for any measurements because I do not know. Alright, I'm going to have to do this in batches, but I already put the broth in there with my peppers, my garlic, and a piece of what is it called, onion. I'm going to add a little bit of chicken bouillon, and I'm going to blend it. You could also use salt, but I like using chicken bouillon for literally everything. Just a tiny bit, because I'm probably going to add a shit ton more to season the broth. Okay, I didn't strain, the peppers and stuff, because I wanted it to be a little bit thicker and rich in texture. Oh my god. So I added a little bit more of the chicken bouillon. You can use whatever bouillon you want. It's just all personal preference and whatever seasonings you want. I'm also going to add a little bit of MSG to enhance all the flavors and to just, I don't know, bring it into fruition, if you will. Give it a little bit of an umami taste. And then I'm going to add this many bay leaves. I'm going to season this as much as possible so it could cook for the next few hours. Then I'm going to add in the hominy at the very end. I'm also going to crush this up a little bit more with my hand, so I'm going to have to put my phone down and then throw it in the pot. I also like to add a little bit of tomato paste just to give it a little bit more color, and I don't know, I like the taste. Now in the same pot, I'm going to, what is it called? Heat these up so I can make my salsa. Blend everything together. I have tomato sauce in here. You could use fresh tomatoes, but tomato sauce or tomatillo, like in the cans, it's just so much easier and faster, but especially like if you're in a hurry. But anyways, just use some tomato sauce, and then I added a little bit of chicken bouillon as well. And I also add a small bunch of cilantro. This is what she's looking like, and I'm very, very fucking picky about my salsas, especially when I go out to eat, and it's like too runny, too bitter, but like hella salty and like no flavor. I get really belligerent, so this is like the perfect consistency in my opinion. It's not too runny, it's not too thick, just perfect. All right, this is what my salsa macho looks like. I already made a separate video. I'm gonna post it later, maybe. Anyways, labeled it in a little pickle jar. I also finished shredding my cabbage, my green cabbage. I just used a mandolin, but now I'm gonna wash and rinse the cabbage because obviously it grows on the floor. So alright guys, wish me luck. Hopefully my phone doesn't fall into the pot. I'm trying to see if it's tender. Oh my gosh, that's nice. That's real nice. Okay, pretty good. Alright, now I'm gonna start adding in the hominy. Where the hell is the fucking, oh yeah, that bone that I had in here earlier? This is the meat that fell off of it. Delicious. Now I could take this out and throw it away. Look at how gorgina. Okay, so these are all the garnishes and the condiments. I want to cut the avocado once we start eating because I don't want to, turn brown. But anyways, I need to make the taquitos, the rice, and the beans. But this is what it's looking like so far. All right, so the potatoes are done now. I'm going to add the cheese, and then I'm going to add a little bit of Tony's seasoning salt and a little bit of black pepper. I want to keep this on the drier side so it doesn't break through the tortillas, and also I don't know, so it doesn't get soggy. But yeah, so basically the cheese is our binder, and I'm also gonna wait for it to cool down a little bit so it's easier to roll, and then I'm also gonna fry them last because I don't want it to get soggy. My boyfriend's still at work, but right now I'm gonna work on the rice and beans while this cools down. Okay, some of them start splitting, which is kind of making me nervous because I have loads of ways to go. All right, the rice is cooked to perfection. I'm going to transfer it into another container. So this is the spread. I don't know why my beans are so dark this time. I don't know. It said fat-free. Whatever. And then the rice, the taquitos, the pozole, obviously, my salsas, and then I also have the Valentina sauce, and oregano leaves. Also, for the radish, if you keep it in water like this, it prevents it from going bad as fast, and it doesn't dry out. Look at how perfect this avocado is also. I like to add avocado to my pozole. I don't know if you guys do. All right, this is my boyfriend's bowl. He likes to keep things simple, as you guys know. I almost forgot the avocado. What? I want to get your reaction.
It's hot.
You like it? And this is what mine looks like. Yum.